Good morning. Fine. Okay. So, sorry. Yeah. So let's review what is Jenkins and what exactly the focus of Jenkins. So, what is Jenkins? Firstly, it's a continuous integration and continuous delivery tool. Okay. So we know what is continuous integration, right? So see, whatever the code is developed by the developer, so we need to get that code continuously, and that too automatically. Okay, we get that code by using Jenkins. Okay, so continuous integration and continuous deployment. And if you want to deploy that onto some servers or some environments, then we call it a deployment. But what is continuous deployment? So if you want to do deployments continuously, like very frequently, then we call it continuous deployment. So continuously get the code from the developer and then build it and then deploy it. So that is what we call continuous integration and then continuous deployment, right? Okay, fine. So Jenkins is a continuous integration, continuous deployment tool. Okay, fine. So, and by using Jenkins, we're going to design the DevOps automation process. So Jenkins is our platform. On the platform, we're going to design the DevOps automation process. Okay, fine. So Jenkins works on master-slave concept. Master-slave concept. Okay, but what is master and what is slave? Okay, so what is master here? Jenkins is master. Okay, so Jenkins itself is a master. Okay, but what master does? What Jenkins does? Jenkins assign jobs to slaves. Jenkins itself is a master, and Jenkins assign the jobs to slaves. Okay, fine. But what do you mean by a job here? Jenkins assigns jobs to slave. Okay, what do you mean by a job? Okay, so what is a job? Job is, what job consists actually? What is a job? Job is nothing but a task. It's a task. Okay, see, for example, okay, take simple task. Okay, I want to create some files on some third-party system, on some remote systems. Okay, but how do I want to do it? I'm not going to do it manually. So I'm going to first create a job in Jenkins itself. And then I'm going to do some kind of configurations in Jenkins. Then what I do? I trigger the job. Then I run that job. So whenever we run that job, the particular task will be executed on so-and-so remote machine. Clear? So for example, just take, I have a remote machine. Okay, some IP address of that machine. Okay, on that remote machine, what I want to do is, I want to deploy some files, or I want to copy some files. But how do I do? I'm not going to log into that machine by using SSH or so-and-so whatever. I'm not going to do that. Then what I'm going to do? First, I go to Jenkins. There I mention connect to this machine, connect to this IP machine, so-and-so IP machine, and then copy some files from location to location. Okay, so it is a kind of a task. So, but in terms of Jenkins, we call it a job. I'm giving you some simple job here. It's a very simple job. Okay, right. Now, for example, I want to create one more job. So with the help of this job, I want to compile some Java files. I want to compile some Java source files. Okay, but those Java source files, I have them on a remote machine. Right? But how do you compile it? And moreover, these source files. Okay, so these source files are present. Say for example, firstly, let's take some source files. The source files are present on a repository. So, but this repository IP machine is some 142.168.1.1 something, some 120 dot, some 130. Okay, my repository is located on this machine. Okay, that means what is a repository? Yeah, we maintain the sources on this repository. Okay, now, so then I fetch the source files from the repository first. I fetch it. Okay, then after that, what I do next is I compile them. I get the source files, then I compile the source files. Okay, so but this should be done automatically. So I want to make it automated. I want to make it automated. Automation. Okay. See, this is what we call the continuous integration part. Okay. Get the source files from a repository and then start compiling it. Okay. So this is what we call continuous integration. So we're going to perform so and so activities by using Jenkins. Okay. See, but as I said, the repository sources will be changing every day, right? The repository sources, that means the project source will be changing every day. Correct? Right. But, so whenever the source is changed on a repository, what should happen? This job, okay, this Jenkins job should be triggered automatically. So I'm going to do such kind of configurations in Jenkins. I'm going to do such kind of configurations within Jenkins while creating a job. Okay. For example, I create a job here, and then while creating a job, I'm going to do some kind of configurations. Okay, so for example, I want to trigger this job. For example, I want to trigger this job. What do you mean by triggering? Like I want to run this job. Okay, but how frequently you want to run the job? Right? Yes. So how frequently you run the job? Or else I want to go for kind of scenarios that whenever the repository is changed, whenever there is a change in the repository, this job should be triggered automatically. Okay, now here we are going to set up kind of automation. Repository changed, then get the source files and then start building it. So this process should happen automatically. Okay, fine. So this is what we call continuous integration. Okay, but what is deployment? Continuous deployment. Okay, now here I have some test environment. Okay, and testers want to test the application. Testers want to test some application. So whatever we are compiling here, the application, just test that application. But if you want to test the application has to be deployed onto the test environments, test systems. Then go for continuous deployment. So again for this, I'm going to create one more job. So job is nothing but a task. Okay, don't get confused here. Job is a task, that's it. But what the job consists, what task consists, we need to configure so and so while you create a job in Jenkins. Now, so these jobs, where do we create these jobs? In Jenkins. That means we create the jobs on master. We create jobs on master. Then who is going to perform these tasks? Slaves. So slave is nothing but a machine again. Jenkins is a machine again, and slave is also a machine. But those are different machines. Okay. But why do we need to have master and slave? Sorry? Workload, correct. That means the performance. So if you run all the jobs, see you can run, look at here, we have two jobs, right? Job 1 and then say this is CI job and this is a CD job. Continuous integration job, continuous deployment job. Okay. Now, but if you run these two jobs on master, so you can run two jobs, there's no issues. See, now here when I say master means master assigns the jobs to slaves, that's one thing. Or else master can run the jobs by itself as well. We have two cases. Okay, master can run the jobs by itself or else master can assign the jobs to its slaves. But again, it's all up to us how do we configure it. Okay, correct? Right. Now here, so master assigns the jobs to slaves. Okay. So what is the reason why it has to assign the jobs to slaves is, the only reason is to increase the performance of your Jenkins. Okay, for example, I have slave 1 and then slave 2. I have these 2 slaves. Then what I do, I assign the CI job to slave 1 and then CD job to slave 2. Okay, so that the performance will be more. The load will be very less on Jenkins, your master. But if you run 2 jobs on a slave 1, so you can do it. See, but if you go to real time, right? See, if you want to build an application, see, for continuous integration and continuous deployment itself, you know, if you want to build an application, it takes minutes because you'll be having the sources in huge insights, right? So what we do, we assign the jobs to different slave machines. Okay, clear? Yeah. So understand the master slave concept, right? Now, so let's start with Jenkins installation. So how do we install Jenkins, and then how do we create slaves and so and so. Right. So installation. See, Jenkins, I want to download a file called jenkins.var file. See, this is a var file. So what kind of application it is? It's a web application. Okay, that's a web application. Var means it's a web application. So if you want to use a var application or web application, you need to have web server. Not Tomcat, could be any web server. But here we are going to use Tomcat. Okay, so I need a web server which is Tomcat to run or to deploy Jenkins.var application, Jenkins application. Okay, so first we install Tomcat, which is a web server, and on that we're going to deploy your Jenkins.var application. Then you can start using your Jenkins. That's one way of installation, one way of Jenkins installation, and we have one more way. Okay, see, and now this is, see, this could be on Windows or else on Linux. So you can have your master or Jenkins either on Windows or Linux, no issues. But you need to have Tomcat server. Okay, if you want to have Windows, just download the Tomcat server for Windows. If you want to work on Linux, download Tomcat server for Linux. Okay, so whether it is Linux or Windows, it's the same kind of procedure. It's the same procedure, but the file which you download for Windows is different for Tomcat, and file which you download to install Tomcat for Linux is different. Okay, so it is some kind of downloading files are different. Otherwise, everything is the same. Okay, right. So once you install it, once you install Tomcat either on Windows or Linux, what you do next? You just deploy your Jenkins.var application onto your Tomcat web server. That's one way. Okay, now there is one more step called Jenkins.jar file. Okay, Jenkins.jar file. Okay, so here, as you know, the jar is for standalone. So it works on your local. Okay, what do you mean by local here? For example, okay, see, just look at here. Just try to observe the differences between your var file and the jar file. See, first I deploy application on Tomcat server. Okay, now I have some users, as some group of users, and all the users wants to access Jenkins. All the users wants to access Jenkins. Then we go for web application. But I have only one user. He just wants to use it. Then go for the jar application. Okay, right? So it means you can access your Jenkins.var application, that means Tomcat server application, through remotely as well. Remotely. So that's why we deployed on a web server. Okay. Now, but see, this is a jar file, right? This is a jar file. If we have a jar file, what do we do with the jar file? We just run the jar file. So whenever you run the jar file, what happens? Application will be up and running. Okay. But how do you run a jar file is, so you can try this kind of steps from your side. So I'm giving you the command. Just download Jenkins.jar file and then run this command. Now here, go to your shell prompt if you're working on Linux, or go to your Windows command prompt if you're working on Windows, and then run this command called java-jar. Okay, java-jar. But before that, make sure here you need to change cd and then location of Jenkins.jar file. Okay, just change your path to wherever your file is present. Okay, for example, something says some dir1. So in this location I have Jenkins.jar file. So go to that location first. So once you go to that location, what do you do next? Just run this command call and your file name Jenkins.jar. Okay, and then here which port number you want to assign that to. HTTP port is equals to some port number. This is customized port number. Or if you don't mention any port numbers, by default that will be 8080. If you want to customize your port numbers, just mention the port numbers, HTTP port and then port number. But if you don't want to mention any port numbers, just run that application, jar application. Now by default 8080 on port number 8080, your Jenkins application will be up and running. Okay, now, but how do you access this application? Localhost, correct. So now go to browser. Once you go to browser, okay. Once you go to browser, then just here just go with HTTP localhost 8080. That's it. So this is how you go for jar. So this is very simple. Just download the jar file first and then run the jar file. That's it, nothing else. We are not installing it here. We're just running the file. We're just running a jar file. Okay. See, I think if you remember, we are running some jar files. Anyone remember that? But where we are running from? Yeah, command prompt. But so we are using some tools, like some build tools, like we're using Maven and okay, we are doing some packages, and after packaging it, we are running the jar files. But we are running them through the tools, the Maven or and build tools. But if you want to run that application through manually, this is the command. This is how you run it. Okay, just try this out from your side. But our side, we're going to look into this part. Okay, fine. See, there is one more way of installing Jenkins as well. Okay, see, you can go with .exe files. For example, I'm working on Windows. You can go with Jenkins.exe file. That's one way. And we know how to install exe files. Double click on it, that will be installed. That's one way. But this is for Windows. Sorry. This is for Windows. But the same way, I want to install it on Linux, like a .exe file. Do you have any other files? Yes, we have a package. We have a Jenkins.var RPM. Sorry, yeah, Jenkins.rpm. Okay, so you can just run this RPM. There is one more. This is for Linux. So these are different ways of you can work on Jenkins installation. Yes. That's a service. That's a local. but you can access it remotely as well, no issues. You can access it remotely as well. So because the application will be installed on your local, if you want to access it, you can access it remotely as well. It's kind of a web. It's kind of a web application. Okay. The reason is, see, now we are just installing this. We are just installing it, right? But we are not deploying it on a web server. But how can I access this application remotely? Understand my question? So here, see, these are the questions, very important. Now, see, Jenkins internally uses a server called Winstone server. Winstone server. So internally it uses a server called Winstone server. Internally. So that is the reason whenever you run that server, automatically, whenever you run this Jenkins application, automatically a Winstone server will be installed by itself. We are not going to do it manually. And then with the help of that server, see, the configurations are going to be set automatically. Your Jenkins and Winstone's configurations will be set automatically. We should not worry about that part. Okay. But if you go with installing where on a Tomcat server, we need to do some configurations because we are using our own web server. Right? But whereas if you run this Jenkins.exe file, so it uses internally your Winstone server. Okay. But if you don't want to use a Winstone server, if you want to use your own customized server, then you go with Jenkins.where on Tomcat server. Okay, but you need to deploy your web application or Tomcat Jenkins application on your Tomcat web server. Okay, so usually in real time we follow the first one or else the third one. Mostly we don't follow the second one.
The entire procedure was same, working on that.
Yes, it's same. It's just an application, right? Say if you work on application, whether locally or remotely, does not matter. It's just an application. No, nothing will be changed. Everything is just an application. So whether you access your Gmail from your mobile or through your web browsers or so and so. So it's the same application. Okay, right, the same way. Right. So if you want, you can try these two steps. So it's very easy steps. Just download them and then run it. Okay. Yeah, you can do that part. It's very easy. But from our side, we look into this part. Okay. Because the reason is we're going to look into some options of Tomcat as well, which is also needed for you. Okay. Because we are going to do some kind of configurations in Tomcat level. Okay. So you need to know that part. So that's why I'm going to cover this part. Okay. Right. Let's look into this part now. How to install Jenkins on a Tomcat server. Okay. First, let's boot your system first. Boot your server. I already have Tomcat. I'm going to remove this. One second. So you already have a Java application. I just want to remove the Java application first. So we have no more applications running for Java, for Jenkins. Okay. So firstly, we'll start with the Tomcat installation. Okay. Tomcat installation. But before that, one thing here. Before we install Tomcat, we'll be installing Java first. First we install Java, then we'll proceed with Tomcat. Okay. Now, but why do we install Java? Right? So we'll be using Java applications. We'll be compiling Java applications. So that is the reason. First, I want to install Java first. Okay. So first install Java, but the version I'm going to install here is 1.7. Okay, dot 8 or 7, I guess. I'm not sure exactly. 1 second. 108. Okay, fine. I'm using 8. 108 version. 8.0 dot. So these versions are important. Okay. 141. Fine. So here, first install Java. We'll install this Java, this version of Java, and then the Tomcat version. I'm going to use Tomcat 9 version, 9.0. Okay, 9.0 version. Okay, so the versions are very important. And then Jenkins version. We're going to work on Jenkins 2.7 version. 2.7 version. Okay, so first we install Java, Tomcat, then Jenkins. Okay, fine. So Java installation on Java installation on Linux. We already know how to install Java on Windows. So let's look into how to install Java on Linux. Okay. See, I'm going to use the packages. Okay. With the help of the packages, I want to install Java. Okay. So this is a version I want to use. But before that, make sure you download it first. JDK. It's already extracted. Do you have any? The tarball is not there. Oh, we have it. Yeah, nice. So we have the tarball. Yeah. So we have it. See, first download this tar file, tarball. Okay. Once you download it, you just extract it. So we know this part, like how to. So just download it and then just extract it. How do you extract it? Exit VF, some options. Okay. Then JDK. Extract. Okay. So once it is extracted, you can see it actually created like this. Okay. So that will be extracted. So that is the command. CD. So you can see some files in here. Use extracted file. Okay. Fine. So we just extracted it. Okay. So once you extract it, see whether you work on Windows or Linux, if you do any kind of extractions, okay. So for you need to set some paths first. What are those paths? We call them the class paths. We need to set the class paths. Okay. So how do we set these class paths? So we know that in Windows, but how do we set them in Linux is, if you go to user home directory first, okay. So there is a file called .bash underscore profile. .bash underscore profile file. So in this file we set the class paths. Okay. Okay. But how do you set it is, see whenever you after you opening that file, just open .bash underscore profile file. Okay. And once you open it, we just go with first export, just set the Java home variable, right? So we know, so if you want to install, we need to set two path variables. One is the class path, other one is the home directory. So first I'm going to set the Java home directory, which is Java underscore home. Okay. And then the location, wherever it is installed, slash media slash some JDK some 1.8 so and so. That is your Java home directory path. And after that, export path. Export path. So here you mention your Java home variable. Now here, so in Windows we are using the percentile, right? Instead of percentile we use here the dollar. Okay, dollar, and your home variable name is Java underscore home, and then what else? Bin. Okay, this is how we say it. But do not forget append it at the end. Go with path. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is how you set it. See, by default, look at here. I just want to give you one important thing here. See, by default, whenever you open this file, forget about these lines. Forget about these lines. By default, you see a path variable. Okay, this, what is this? Actually, this is your system path variable. Okay, do not touch it because you see this, right? This is home directory of your system, and then the binaries. You do not touch this line. Okay, if you change anything to these lines, what is going to happen? Your commands are not going to work. Your commands are not going to work. So do not touch the last two lines. Don't touch the last two lines. Okay, just only create a new path variable like this. Just create a new path variable. So that is reason, and at the end I'm appending again a path. This part is your system path variable. I'm appending this path. Okay, yeah. So by default you see two lines first. Export. Slash bin. Okay, you see this. Okay, right. Then these are the default ones. Okay, no need. Or else you can do also this as well. Actually, you see this like this. Then export path. You also do this. Okay, right. So do not touch the last two lines. Whatever you want to do, just create your own path variables and create your home variable and create your customized path variable. Okay. Now, once you do this, just go with check for versions. So you can see the variable like the version like this. Okay. Or else you can check it echo dollar Java underscore home. That is your Java home variable location. Okay. See, sometimes you may have so you if you want to check your Java home variable name wherever, if you don't remember where it is installed, you can check it with echo statement. Okay. Now, so the next is, so we're done with the Java installation. Next, proceed with the Tomcat installation. It is the same installation, the same process. Okay. Set for first extract that file. So again, I'm going to use a tarball. I'm going to use a tarball. Okay. First extract it and then do the path setting the same way. Okay. So here we have the Tomcat. No. Okay. I just want to use the 9.0 version. I want to use 9.0 version. You can use 8 version as well, no issues. Okay, whether 8 version or 9 version, no issues. It works on both. Okay, and even have 2.6 and 2.7, but we'll work on 2.7 version. Say even from your side, you work on 2.7 versions. Okay, because there are some restrictions on 2.6 versions. See, in Jenkins we have something called plugins. Okay, some plugins don't work on 2.6 versions. So better you start working on 2.7, or you can work on 2.8 version as well. But if you want to work on 2.8 version, I think you need Java 9 version, I guess. Java 1.9 version, I think so. But it should work on 8 version as well. But try, if that doesn't work, go with Java 9 version. Okay. But so no issues, you can go with 2.7 version of Jenkins. All plugins works in 2.7 version. Every plugin works in for 2.7 version. The latest version, I think it is now 2.10 dot some version is there. That's the latest version, 2.10. Okay, so you can work on 2.7, which is a stable version. See, especially Jenkins, right? See, never work on the latest versions. Never work on the latest versions, because there are some plugins that don't support the latest versions of Jenkins. So that's why work on some kind of stable versions. Okay, but also make sure you don't work on the older versions. That's again a problem. You work on latest stable versions. You can work on 2.7 version or else 2.8 version. Do not go beyond that. That's what my suggestion. Okay. As of now, 2.10 is the latest version, but you can work on 2.7 or 2.8 version. Okay. It's again a tar call. You can just extract it. The same command. Tar xzvf and then okay. So that will be extracted. So once you extract it, you can see a file like this. Okay. CD Apache some Tomcat 9. So here, this is your Tomcat directory structure. So this is very important. Okay. Now, so in these directories, we have some files. And as of now, we look into what is web apps. So after some time, we look into the bin and config as well. But as of now, we look into what is web apps. Okay. If you open CD web apps, CD web apps. See, what is the purpose of this web apps directory is, in this web apps directory, we deploy the file, we deploy the applications. Okay. In Tomcat web apps, we deploy the applications. We deploy the applications into Tomcat web apps. So what do you mean by deploying? Just copy your applications onto so-and-so location, to this location. Sorry. It's Apache, yeah. So that's my working directory. Within the Tomcat home directory, we have a directory called web apps. So every application we need to deploy into so-and-so location. Okay. So this is very important. And then, so we have a directory called the bin directory. Okay. CD bin. Okay. So here we have some scripts called shutdown.sh and startup.sh. If you want to start or shut down your server, Tomcat web server, you use these scripts. Use this script. So later on we'll see how to shut down, how to restart. Then after this, we have a directory called the config directory. CD config directory. So here we have some files called tomcat users.xml so and so. Okay. So what is the purpose of these users? We'll see at the time of securities. Okay. We create some users on Tomcat, then we assign some permissions to the so and so users. So we'll see them later on. Okay. Okay, in terms of securities. Okay, right. Okay, so we just extracted this file, right? So once it is extracted, we're going to do again the path settings, the class path settings. Okay, so where do we do the settings? Again the same. Go for list all files, -a. So vi dot bash. Okay, so here one second. Okay, so no issues. Fine, no issues. You can set it. So one thing here, in some cases, okay, okay, if whenever you do settings in bash underscore profile, if that application does not work, okay, then you just set it in .bash rc. You just set the same paths in .bash rc as well. Okay, .bash rc. This is kind of a user file. This is kind of system level file. Okay, just make sure. Okay, so both should work actually. See, sometimes some applications don't work on bash underscore profile. Most of the time they should work. See, for example, in Git, right? We have seen that in Git. Okay, we have set that in .bash rc, because if you set that path in bash underscore profile, that does not work. Okay, so in some cases, if they don't work in .bash underscore profile, insert it in .bash rc. Okay, right. Now just open this. So once you open this, again the same file .bash underscore profile. Now here first I want to set for export. Now here the home variable name is, it is Catalina underscore home, and then the location Tomcat. Sorry, Tomcat. Sorry, yeah, media. Apache Tomcat. So and so. Okay, and then your file name, like and.0 so and so whatever. Okay, then after this set the path variable, but we already have a path variable, right? We already have a path variable defined. Okay, then we just going to append it. So how do we do that? Yes, so dollar Catalina underscore home slash, that's it. Okay, so make sure you say install Java first, and then which is Java home variable, and then Catalina home variable, and then after that set the paths. Okay, and once you do this, just go with check for Tomcat version. Here, echo Catalina underscore home. Okay, Catalina underscore home. It's set already. Was it?
The bash RC, the pattern of the bash RC.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Page.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to restart actually. We need to restart it. Yeah. So it's okay, no issues. Or else, see, you can do one thing. If you it doesn't actually, how do we check whether it is Tomcat is installed or not? Just open your browser. Once you open your browser, just check for localhost. If your browser opens, yeah, if your browser opens your localhost, your Tomcat web server. So by default it is 8080. We need not to worry about that. So look at here. I'm going with some HTTP, some localhost. Some localhost. See, even if you don't mention that port number, okay. Yeah, I think I got one more thing said it actually. Fine. Unable to connect it. So just restart it. Yeah. See, once you do this, just make sure. See, we have done the Tomcat installation. Okay, we just installed Tomcat, but we did not start it, right? So let's start Tomcat server. So how do we start it? If you go to Tomcat home directory, see this is my location /Tomcat. Okay, there cd bin, and then after that just start it. How do you start it at startup.sh .startup.sh. Now it is started. Okay.
The firewall blocking.
Sorry.
Firewall is blocking the port number.
We are accessing through locally, no issues. So it works. It takes some time. It takes at least a minute sometimes. So we should not worry about the firewalls because we are working on local. So if you are accessing this through remotely, then that is the firewall issue. Okay. Now the server is working. Okay. So if you are seeing this page, that is successful configuration. Okay. Now, so we just installed Tomcat, but did we deploy Jenkins application? No, we did not. So let's deploy. And one more thing is that, see, I want to access Tomcat through remotely as well. Through remotely, I want to access the Tomcat server through remotely. That means from some other machine. Okay. Yeah. So how do we access it? Yeah, simple. IP address. We need an IP address. So this is IP address. Make sure you use HTTP, not use HTTPS. Okay. Now HTTP and then 192.242.226. Okay, and then 8080. Sorry. So by default, it is 8080 by default. That's the default port number. But if you want to customize this port number, you can also customize the port number as well. I'll show you that. So that site can't be reached. So this is what is called your firewall issue. Okay. So that means your server, Jenkins server, is blocking remote machines to have access. Okay. So let's stop those firewalls. Service IP tables. Stop it. That's a one firewall. and the other firewall is IP6 tables. So now it will be good to access. It's loaded. Okay. So let's deploy your Jenkins application onto the Tomcat web server. Okay. So I have two versions. So I'm going to use this. Okay. I'm going to use Jenkins 2.7 version. I want to copy this to. Where do you copy this to? Tomcat web apps. Okay. And that's the source. And the destination is Tomcat web apps. No, actually, see. If you go to this my system home directory, okay, actually I'm using within the root directory of my system. Okay, I'm using this as my location. This was my Tomcat server. Okay, see, for your demonstration purpose, I just extracted into so and so location, but my purpose, I'm using it in from so and so location. Okay, that is only for your demonstration purpose, but we're going to use this is from so and so location. That's for my convenience purpose. I just copied this to that Jenkins or Tomcat application onto my root directory. I just copied it. That's it. Nothing else I did. Or else you can, if you want to use the same application from the same location, you can also do it. No issues. Okay. So don't get confused. Even look at here Java, right? Say I have Java in so and so location. Okay. Right. So cd slash tomcat and then web apps. Okay, fine. But where is our source? Our source is, this is our source. I want to deploy this. Copy Jenkins. Okay, and then slash tomcat web apps. So it has been copied. Go and check it out. So look at here. So we just deployed the var file, right? We just deployed the var file. But whenever you deploy the var file, what happened? The Jenkins file is being extracted. Look at here, it has been extracted. So application has been extracted as well. Okay, so this is your var file and this is your extracted file. Okay, fine. Just 1 second. I just want to remove this. So what is that? That is Jenkins home directory. We'll see that anyway. So now we have application deployed onto web apps, Tomcat web apps. So now once it is deployed, I just want to restart my server. Go to where? Which location? Bin. Okay. And here just shut down. And then just start it. Okay. So now it is started. Firstly, so if you have any issues accessing that application, make sure you access it, first test it from local system, on your local server. So if you are able to check it on your local server, if that works successfully, then thereafter we check it on your remote servers. So it is loading up. So it can be reached. just want to start it again. Sometimes, yeah, this should work now. So it is loading now. Also, I want to refresh remotely as well. See, Windows is my remote system and Linux is your local for us. Jenkins server, that is your local server.
Which center is much more important?
Sorry?
Which center is much
CentOS, no issues. Operating system is not an issue. You can work on 6 or 7, 6.5, no issues. You can work on any CentOS or any Red Hat or Ubuntu as well, no issues. It's loaded. See, this happens. Sometimes it takes time. So if it doesn't work, just try to at least try for 2 or 3 times. It works. So I did nothing else. I just restarted it. Nothing else. Okay. Now, so we are Tomcat ready, but we want to access Jenkins, right? So what is the Jenkins application name? Jenkins Rust 2.7, right? CD web apps. cd web apps. Okay, so here Jenkins application name is 2.7 version. Okay, but one thing here, if you go to, let's remove this, if you go to manager app, okay, so do not worry about this part, we'll talk about that later on. Whenever you click on this manager app, okay, so this is your Jenkins Tomcat server on which you have all the applications deployed. See, look at here. So we have Jenkins 2.7 version. This is an application. It's deployed on Tomcat server. So this is how you can manage your applications through a UI. This is your Tomcat UI version. Okay, user interface version. Okay, yeah. If you click on this, that will take you to the redirect you to the Jenkins application. Okay. Now we have some options here. You can stop. You can stop or start your Jenkins application. See, these options are related to your application, not for your server. Okay. See, now here, see, everything is an application here. Everything is an application. Docs is an application. Okay. Example is an application. Host manager is an application. See, I clicked on manager app, right? You see, you remember that button over there? Manager app button. So this is also an application internally for Tomcat. What is the application name? Manager app. Okay. So for internally Tomcat, everything is an application. Okay. These are your Tomcat's application, Tomcat default applications. But the application what we have deployed onto Tomcat now is which one? Jenkins. That's our application. Okay. These are the default applications. These are the default applications used by Tomcat. So this is my application actually. Also I deploy this sample.war file. Now, so let's click on Jenkins.war file. Okay. Or else, instead of clicking that, say everyone won't be having access to Tomcat server UI page, right? Everyone won't be having access to do that actually. Only the administrators will be having access to it. But how other users wants to access Jenkins application is just provide this URL. What is the URL? HTTP, like the IP address, /226 port number / Jenkins. Just provide this IP address, provide this URL. That's it. Then they can access Jenkins application. Okay, fine. Now, so where were we? Yeah. So look at here. This is your Jenkins home page. So whenever you install Jenkins, you see a page like this. This is your Jenkins application page. So here you need to enter your administrator password. Okay. So but where can you find the password? Initially, in so and so location you can find that password. Okay. So /root.jenkins. Okay. Secrets and so location. Go to that location. Get the password. Okay. So he says /root is nothing but that is user home directory. That is user home directory. Okay. Now, so that is, so I'm logged in as root user. So it is located under /root. Okay. There ls-a. If you go for ls-a, so do you remember initially I was deleting this Jenkins.jar Jenkins directory. See, that Jenkins directory was existing from my previous Jenkins. So I deleted it. Again I restarted Jenkins or Tomcat. Then what happened? Again the .jenkins application has created its home directory. Okay. So this is your Jenkins home directory. Okay. And then cd.jenkins. Then what is that file name? Secrets. Directory name is secrets. Okay. cd secrets. Again So that was initial admin password. It's a text file. vi just copy and paste this password in that file. Okay. But how do you file from Linux to Windows? That is what my question always. So that's why I use WinSCP now. Sorry, Putty. I use Putty here. Just 5 more minutes. Class will be finished. Open your server IP address. Okay, that's wrong. Root and then password. Okay, so what is that location? CD. Okay, and then ls-a here you see the dot Jenkins. Okay, cd dot Jenkins, and then secrets, right? Secrets. There you have a file called initial admin password. vi initial admin password. Just select this. Is selected. Okay, just select it and then paste it. So that nothing else. You don't have any other commands to run. Okay, and then continue. Never.
This password will be generated automatically.
Yes, that comes by default. Sorry? No, you can't. You can't change it. That's initial password. You can't change it. No.
New password we can
Sorry?
New password we can set.
New password you can set it, but that's later on, not now. Initially you can't change. You can't change it. Okay. Now, so customize the Jenkins. Now here we have two options: install suggested plugins, select plugins to install, or else you can cancel it as well. See, these plugins, we are not going to install any plugins as of now. We are not going to install any plugins. Okay. See, what is a plugin means? Some other tools. You want to install any other tools within Jenkins. Okay, that is what you mean by plugins, right? So I'm not going to install any plugins within Jenkins as of now. I'm going to skip it. Just click on. Now start using Jenkins. Okay, so you have skipped it now. And one more thing here, you see, to log in, use username as admin. So if you want to log in again, for example, I'm logging in, I'm closing this. After that, I close this after some time. So once I close it, okay, again I want to access this. Then how do you access it? Again, you need a password, right? You need a password. But how about the username? Admin is the username at that time. Admin is the username, and the password is
So that will be
whatever we used as of now, the same password. Just use that password as of now, but in the future I will show you how to set up our own customized users and then credentials, so and so. Okay, in the future we'll see that part. Start using. Now this is our Jenkins. You can start using Jenkins now. Okay, so those whoever is having this credentials, sorry, this URL or the IP address also, and so they can access Jenkins. but they need to have one more thing, which is the username and the password as well. Okay, but we look into those kind of concepts in terms of security. When we go to Jenkins security, at that time we'll see what is the user and what is the password. How do you create the user sign? Okay, so now we have Jenkins is ready. Okay, we can start using Jenkins. But see, we just have the master ready. This is our server, right? See, we are accessing Jenkins that means you are accessing Jenkins server, true server, that's it. So this is kind of a UI page, that's it. It's kind of a front end for you. But what is the back end? That is your server. Okay? So this is your application, you're accessing this application. But what do we need? What do we need? We need next? What else we need? We are master ready. What else we need? Slaves, right? We need slaves. How do we create slaves? Okay, we'll look into that part in tomorrow's session. So we create some slaves tomorrow, and then after that we create some jobs and we run these jobs on the slaves. Okay, we'll go with different scenarios. Okay, what if the slave is offline? What if both the slaves are online? What if the master is online? What the slaves are offline? So we'll see those we'll see those scenarios. Okay, fine. So thank you.